What is going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for being here. Today we're going to go over a Euro AUD trading recap from today, this morning, in the New York session on July 7th, 2020. I really like trying to get these trading recaps out to you the same day because it allows you to see what's actually happening in the market as you watch it, and then it can help prepare you for the next day or the upcoming days if you're able to watch this pretty quickly as I put it out. So I'm going to try and keep doing those as much as I can when the time permits. And today I had the time, so here we go. So basically this is kind of what my setup had looked like today. There was also a little bit of a square in here. I had deleted it, but I will show you again. This is kind of how I was seeing the market today, and found this trade to the downside. Now I only took it to about, I think I pulled it at like 18, so my target was 15, so I was a little bit short, so I got maybe about 1.75 instead of my full 2R. But again, it was a really nice day and I was happy with the win. So let me clear this, break it down for you, and I will show you how we found this entry. Now, from a higher time frame perspective, I was looking for Euro AUD for the last while to come down and hit this target low. It's been in a downtrend, and you can see if you look back, this level around here, around like 161 flat, pretty much somewhere in this area, has been pretty significant for quite some time, and it did hit it back here in June. So I was looking to see it come back down and to at least test it, because if it's going to keep moving lower, it has to at least come here first for the most part before it rejects out. Now, it doesn't always have to, but I don't play fringe ideas or outlier ideas. I play consistency, and consistently the price will come back to this area. So that's what I've been looking for. But unfortunately, as you can see, we've just been getting nothing but consolidation. But a little bit more recently, you can see from around here at the last couple days of the month, we've been in this little bit of a downtrend and kind of breaking out of this structure. And I'm like, okay, I want to try and take it to the downside if I can. Now, I do recognize that yesterday it was correcting. You could see that price was kind of moving in an upward trend. You were getting confirmation here on the TDI as well. That price was moving higher, strength was moving higher as well. So yesterday I was trying to take it higher here when it made another high, but here it was divergent. And so I wound up getting in a short yesterday at 1.6222. I believe it was right up in here, 22. And unfortunately, I kind of was in my head a little bit yesterday because I saw that it was trying to move higher. It was in this correction. I didn't know if to the downside was completely correct. So I got in it, and then literally I was maybe in the trade for 5 to 7 minutes at the most. I don't even think I was in it for 10 minutes. And I just felt like I was wrong. It was kind of hitting this high right here from the Asian session, and I just wasn't sure if it was going to break. Had I waited a little bit longer, I would have saw this nice 3 candle bearish engulfing right here as it like broke down in its own kind of 4 candle down, hit the level, rejection twice to the upside, and then a breakthrough, and then you got another push. Now, it never really got too much further. My take profit was down at 92, so you can see it would have barely got there. I would have held through the changeover a day. I wouldn't have gotten pinned out because my stop was all the way up at 37. And I most likely may have gotten this for a win. But I closed it, and it was a really small loss. I put it on the screen so that you can see it, because I wasn't sure that the correction wasn't going to continue. And you can see that it did continue into today. And now that brings us into today's trade. I was seeing that while this is in an overall downtrend, it was correcting to the upside. But I was also noticing that it was also, again, like yesterday, a little bit divergent. And when I drew that, then I started to see this. And this is one of the two things that I really like to draw. I like to draw ascending and descending channels, and I like to draw squares, as you can see back here. This is like a zone, but I also draw squares, and we'll get into that in a minute. So I was seeing all this happen, and I said, well, look, it kind of broke down, it's consolidating, and now it pushed. And this was at 9:15 when this candle closed. So, or excuse me, 9 o'clock when this candle closed. And I was like, all right, well, it's still potentially in a buying condition based on this TDI, but price action is telling me that this is potentially falling off. So what I did was I started monitoring as I often do, the lower time frames, the 1 minute and the 5 minute. And I still have these in here so I can show you. And I was seeing this was also the one that I saw at 8:45 when this one closed. It was kind of like an up and then right back down. And I was seeing that it was starting to make like a higher low here potentially. And it fell. And then it fell into this little area. And at the time, if I could do like a quick replay, it was like this. And it started moving along. And I saw that right here, this kind of two candle push down. And I was just like, ooh, that's not quite out of this box. And now my box, it's not the end all be all. It's just a rough sketch from my eye and my mind that tells me, hey, look, this is a pretty significant level. And I see that it's having issues. I see that it lines up back here as well. So it makes sense to me that you might see a little bit of slowing, and I'd like to see it kind of break out of this area to kind of give me confirmation that we are indeed moving more to the downside and it's not just going to kind of hold and continue with this upward correction. So I was a little bit 50-50 on it and very unsure. And as it started playing along just a little more, it started breaking out just a little bit, ever so much. And I was like, okay, potentially this is going to be lining up for me. And it wound up happening at 9:32, I believe it was. So it was right, I think, here, but more so than what you see here on a 5 minute. And you can see how these pins back to the zone were really nice. It broke out of it. It was more so on the 1 minute. And I was seeing it again. I try and draw the same things over and over and over again, just boxes, squares, if you will, and then descending channels. And it was chopping through here, and it was right here on this 1 minute. This nice two candle, bearish engulfing. It also confirmed through to TDI. I knew that this had the potential to become an igniting candle, so to speak. It cleanly broke out of the box, nice and strong. I knew that I could get it above structure. My stop was at 60 up here, and I felt really confident that this was the push. And you can see the time, 9:32. So it was right in this candle, basically, and it closed at 9:33. I got in right as it was closing, so I guess on my MetaTrader 4, it was still 9:32, and I was in, as I said, at 162.44.7. So you can see I'm right on target with my timing and my entry. And then it just kind of came sideways and it kept throwing these patterns. You can see like a little bit in, bearish engulfing, came back, a little bit bearish engulfing. And this was the one that also broke through my downtrending channel. But you could see first it broke the box and then it broke the channel. And this thing just took off to the races. And that's pretty much how I caught this trade. Now, I really goofed on it. I did go with my strategy and my take profit, which is 2% for 2R. Did close it a little bit early, but I don't know. I was having a little bit of trouble because then it hit this area down here and I wasn't sure, and that kind of corresponded into like this a little bit. So I'm like, oh, I was being a little bit cautious. It started pushing. It was just starting to tap a little bit oversold on the 1 minute. And I was like, you know what? This is close enough. Take the $500 because I just wasn't sure because the market really hasn't been, igniting the way we've been wanting it to. It's really just been kind of fizzling and chopping, and that's why my 2R's also been really, really helpful to help me get in and out of these moves, and it just completely flew to the downside. As you can see, 162.47. So ballparking it, that's pretty much what my trade setup looked like, and on the 1 minute, it was from this candle right here. So I was trying to, you take this three candle right here, kind of 1, 2, 3 down, and I wanted to be above structure. And I needed to account for my spread as well, because if it came up here, I needed a couple pips for the spread on EA. So that's why it is there. And it just fell off. And this is basically where I closed it at 18. And you can see no reason for me to close this. Yeah, it was tapping, oversold just a bit, but there was no reason to exit this trade. It completely just ripped. And it went almost 5R, about 4.5R for me. It's a really good trade, and that's how I caught it. So the other thing that I would say is I was looking back to the 4-hour time frame to really try and stay in a higher mindset. And I was seeing that at the time it was back here at this 50 on the 4 hour. And now when you're under 50 EMA or above it, but in this case under it on a high time frame like this, you really want to try and stay with that direction until you start to get above it and then start to retest it and confirm higher structure. But we weren't quite doing that. This is still technically a lower high than here. So you can see you're still in a downtrend. And what happened is once it hit the 50, it just continued in its downtrend. Now, it didn't get down as far and didn't hold this. It kind of came back up. A lot of people taking profits like myself, and buyers stepped in. So it didn't completely get down as far as it could have and close down that deep, but you could see that to the downside is also, a pretty good idea for the overall trend that just happened to catch a top, so to speak. So anyway, that's pretty much how I found this trade today. Just a little bit of divergence, a little bit of channels, squares, boxes, letting the market move first and telling me its direction, not getting ahead of myself and waiting for the market to move first, because I was looking to potentially take this to the upside. But once it started breaking and confirming for me that this was indeed moving with the overall trend to the downside, then I got in. And that's key, man. You just got to let the market move first and then you follow along. And that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions or comments, please just leave them below and I will get back to you. Like the video, subscribe. Remember, my Twitch is Monday through Thursday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time till about 11:30 whenever I get off. And be sure to check it out, and I will catch you on the next recap video.